Making a quick video here about how I'm flushing out my heater core. I was getting a really gross antifreeze smell and no heat really at all. And this is a 2000 Yukon with 200,000 miles on it with a new top end. But anyway, I haven't seen anybody do it quite like this yet, so I just wanted to get this out there because for me this is the best solution, especially if you want to go back and flush it again like in a year or so, because these older rigs, they get built up in the top end of the motor and everything where all the coolant goes, and it's just an accumulative thing, and you can have fresh coolant and everything and it's still back up on you. So I just wanted to show real quick. I've already done the work, and there's plenty of videos there on YouTube and everything about how to actually do the flush, and I'll demonstrate in the rear how I do the flush back there, and what I use. But virtually it's just literally two 5/8 male-to-male heater hose plastic connectors, and you can actually get these at the auto stores just like that. And they're 4 heater hoses, so you don't have to worry about them melting or anything crazy. And the benefit here is you don't have to deal with the special tool to disconnect it from the heater core in the firewall. And that, to me, I mean, I did my heater core in my 01 Silverado, and it was a nightmare, and just getting those hoses off alone was half the nightmare, just because you have to use the special tool and it's got to fit perfectly. Let alone this one has the rear heater core lines going back to the rear, so you also have to keep those in mind when you're trying to disconnect all this, just to, you know, if you just want to try flushing it first, which in my case worked for me great. I have 100% heat again, and when I back flushed it, it really didn't see much come out, which was strange. But I ran the truck and I'm getting ultra hot heat, like as if I did a new heater core. And in the past I did this in my Silverado, and I got away with it for I think 3 years before I had to actually change the core because it leaked out. But I got away with it for 3 years, not dealing with that nightmare of changing the heater core and pulling the whole entire dash apart, and draining all the refrigerant out of your AC system and all of that, paying to recharge it, all that. I got away with that for 3 years, so I figured try it on this Tahoe or this Yukon, and it worked out great. So where I'm at now is the rear heat is not working good, so I'm gonna go up under the back, and I'm literally just gonna cut the hoses, and like I did there, I put those 5/8 male-to-male connectors on, just a hose clamp, and I ran them for years that way in my truck before my heater core finally went out. So I'm praying that I can just do it in the back there, then I don't have to deal with all the nightmares, at least for now, of changing out these heater cores, which is literally just a nightmare. So I'm gonna go back under the back and try to somewhat take video of what I do back there. So I'm in the back here. I've already done the work here just to hook up the male connectors, because it's really straightforward and simple. I didn't want to try to record all of it. But what I did is just I clamped off the hose, cut the hose, put the connector in, clamped it here, and hooked up my clear 5/8 hose I got from Home Depot for 10 bucks, just like I did up front. Now when I was running the heater, this one was super hot, this one really wasn't. So from what people say, that tells you that your intake is going to be the hot one, and especially if your heater core is clogged up, the exit will be cooler, and mine was. So I hooked up my hose, garden hose, to the outlet of the heater core. That way I can reverse flush it, and hooked up my outlet for the flush into the inlet for the heater core. So I'm just going to reverse flush it now, and hopefully get some stuff out of here and get heat back in the back of the truck as well. So just like they say, not too much pressure, like 10 pounds or so, which is kind of hard to judge on a garden hose, but I'm just gonna pump it up to where it's a steady little flow, and it should start kicking out in here any second. Hopefully some bad gunk and stuff, which, yeah, it looks like some gunk's coming out and a little bit of coolant. It's getting cloudy, but definitely some stuff coming out. I'm going to kick it up just a little more until I see the water clearing up that's coming out of this thing. There's some pretty gnarly chunks coming through. So I'm hoping after I get done with this flush, all I have to do is simply hook up my heater hose connectors and just double check my coolant, which I didn't lose very much coolant doing both of these, and hopefully I'll have heat in the rear again, and I could even do a temp check to see, but I can tell by the feel back there it was just blowing warm air at best. So yeah, I'm gonna disconnect this stuff and hook up the hoses, and I'll take a little video of that too, just what it looks like when it's all hooked back up. Alright, so added the male 5/8 connectors with the hose clamps, made sure they were super snug, and got it ready to fire up the truck and test out the heat. I went ahead and flushed the heater core both ways, just to, you know, better flush it, make sure that there wasn't any gunk in there that I missed while I was doing this. Kind of surprised that I haven't seen any videos on people doing this. I know that these connectors are commonly used for like if you had like a pinhole in your hose or something, you can cut a section out, put this in, and it'll save you from having to change out the hoses. But this works really well if you have heater core issues and you don't want to spend the $700 per core or whatever they charge at the shop, or doing the day labor, you know, usually at least 5 hours labor yourself to change these heater cores out. This will buy you some time, usually just reverse flushing it, which, you know, everybody knows. There's a bunch of videos online about it, but doing it this way, I have surprised I haven't seen anybody talk about doing it this way, because what this does is it sets you up for the future. Like if you want to flush it again, it's a lot easier. You don't have to worry about these connectors, you don't have to worry about anything. You literally just unhook the hose and well, you clamp it first, and I suggest on these ones back here is clamping them back behind here a little ways, especially when you're doing the flush and everything, because when you cut it, you're gonna have some coolant dumping, and it may dump a little bit more because you're clamped back here, but when you go to reconnect them, you can work with the hose the way it is naturally without having the vise or the clamps right there on the hose. So you don't have to unhook the vise grips in order to install those male hose connectors. So that's just something I wanted to put out there, doing this method, because, you know, like I said, in my Silverado, I got away with it for like 3 or 4 years before I had to actually change the heater core, and I would simply just after I had it set up this way, I would just unhook the two hose clamps and just hook up my hose and my flush hose and just flush it that way. Just a quick and easy you know, way to do it. I had to do it probably about every year before I would start noticing losing the heat. After about a year, I would unhook those, flush it, and then it'd last me another year. So that was just my experience. So I'm gonna fire this truck up and try to get some heat back here to this core and test out the heater to the rear now, since I got the heat to the front blowing hot again. So just went, ran some errands, dropped some groceries in the house, and ate some dinner real quick, and just fired this truck back up. And I was feeling it earlier, and it was coming out really hot, way hotter than it was before I did the little flush back there. So I'm happy with the result. Definitely, I couldn't get like more than 70 degrees back here, and that was on a warmer day. And this one does, the backs take a little bit longer to heat up, but it definitely was blowing like hot heat to where I had to actually turn it down because it was completely just smoking everyone out with heat. So I'm happy. I just saved myself a lot of time, money, energy, and all of that by flushing out these cores. I mean, I'm probably, like I said before, I'll probably only buy a year out of it before I have to flush them again, but now I'm all ready to set up to flush them with connectors on both the hoses, so I can flush the front and the back again within probably 20 minutes or so. So yeah, I just wanted to put this out there for people to see. I didn't do like a really good descriptive on what I did, you know, manually, but the idea was there kind of with the connectors and everything to kind of give people another way to get around having to do your heater core, especially in the Chevys and the, you know, GMC trucks that are just a pain in the ass to change the core. So just want to put that out there, and I hope it helps somebody.